Hello? Hello, is this on? Hello? Hello. If you're watching this, then you are about to watch the Doctor Who Sleep No More review by Nick Payne, or at least a sketch if it's being shown individually on the bonus content channel. I must ask you to not watch this review. But if you do watch this review, you will tell everybody about it, won't you? Good. I have compiled this review in a way that is will be able to be visibly able to tell the story in it. Nah, you know what? Let's just do this as normal. It's just easier. Cue titles. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 9, Episode 9, Sleep No More, which is widely considered one of the worst episodes made, or at least of the new series, and considered one of the worst episodes of Series 9. If it's not Hellbent, then this is usually referred to as the worst episode of Series 9. Do I think it's the worst episode of Series 9? No, I still prefer it to the opening two-parter, and I probably still prefer it to Hellbent. But I think this is one of the weaker episodes of the series. In honesty, I don't really care for this one. I don't hate it. I'm not on the same level as everybody else. Gee, what a fucking surprise! But yeah, I'm not so worried about this one. I see what they're trying to do with this found footage angle. They're trying to do this type of story, but as great as it is to experiment with new genres, I don't think this one pulls it off. Maybe because it looks too good cinematography, and that can be a problem with found footage movies. Is that the cinematography may look too good, it looks too well directed, that it may as well have been a properly filmed episode. So the found footage angle looks more of a gimmick, as well as to cut away from stuff that we don't see on screen. Um, but I will say this: they did a good try. They tried. I don't think they pulled it off too well, but they tried. It at least looks like a found footage episode. Um, so the plot of this episode is that the Doctor and Clara arrive on this space station in the 13th century, orbiting Neptune, and some soldiers have been sent up to find out what has happened to the crew of the ship. They find the only survivor, a Professor Rasmutus, who has created this device called Morpheus, which allows people to only sleep for 5 minutes in the pod, and that generates the same energy as, say, a month of sleep, so that they don't have to keep going to sleep every night. They can work longer and make lots of money, because this is a capitalistic environment, obviously. However, Rasmussen has been modifying his pods, and now, as a consequence, these sand men creatures, as Clara calls them, the Sandmen, made out of gooey blobs of the sand and mucus and stuff that come from people's eyes, um, become creatures in their own right, and, well, I say right, become their own creatures, and then try to kill everybody on the space station just because. However, they are unable to see anybody, and this is due to the eyes being everywhere, basically um, all around the space station. And this actually is an interesting thing with the whole found footage stuff. Is that the recordings are coming from the eyes of the sand people, with the sand in the eyes of the people, as well as the sand in the air, and yeah, which is why some characters there isn't a point of view of, because they haven't been in Morpheus, like this. The supporting character Chopper, and of course the Doctor. Clara also, she gets inside Morpheus at one point, so we don't see anything from her point of view until afterwards. So that's actually quite clever. And there's also a line earlier on in the episode that you might miss if you're not looking, where the Grunt um, says something about eyes in the sky. So they seem to be able to detect it. I'm not sure if we get anything from their point of view. I'm guessing we must, because there are scenes with just that character and maybe with Chopper on their own. So I'm guessing if there might be some scenes with them. I also like that the revelation doesn't come until end of Act 2, where it's real. Oh, hang on, no one's had head cams. There's no cameras anywhere. Where's this recording come from? It's some of the stuff in the RIs and hovering around. So that's actually pretty clever. That's a clever angle. I liked that, and the Sand People being blind makes sense. But that's as great as it really gets. There's not really an awful lot much great about the story. The monsters, the Sandmen, aren't that great. I do believe they have costumes. Maybe there's some bits that are CG'd, but they've definitely got costumes, and they're not really great looking designs. I can understand what they're going with sandy, mucusy looking creatures, but it doesn't look that great. They look more realistic than those creatures in Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. Maybe most of the time because they did use costume for this. At least I think there was more use of costume here than Journey to the Center of the TARDIS with their inside the TARDIS monsters, which really didn't really work with that story. These guys at least work in their story. They're just not very good. Supporting characters I'm not really that interested in. We got the commander who says pet a lot. All right, fine. I think she's from the north. She's okay character. Then you got Chopper, who does not believe in using Morpheus. He's against using it. And then you've got the comic relief guy who dies. In my opinion, he dies too soon. And we spent quite a bit of time with him just before he died, but we didn't really flesh out his character. He just had this bit where he was told by the computer to sing Mr. Sandman, which is a great song, by the way. Check it out. So he has to sing the song to get in, to avoid being killed by Sand People, and then he gets into this place, and then the Sand People kill him anyway. So it feels like we were building the tension, and then we should be relieved that the guy has escaped. But A, we don't really know about much about this guy. B, it's all for nothing anyway, so shouldn't really care anyway, because he's not actually gonna make it. Even if he gets through that door, he's not gonna make it. We do get get some bare bones facts about the characters earlier on, just to get to know who they are, but we don't really get to know much about them personally, apart from maybe Chopper with his anti-Morpheus views. The final supporting character is a grunt, which is basically just a mindless brute who's mainly there for brute force and strength stuff, but really doesn't have a much going on in the brain. They don't really think that much, and they're not very great with speaking. This one seems to have developed a affection for Chopper for some reason. Fun fact, the grunt is played by the first transgender actor in Doctor Who, Bethany Black. And what role do they get her to play? A dumb, strong grunt. Talk about moving with the times. I mean, yeah, you progress from getting yourself a transgender actor into the show, but you deprogress by getting them to play a grunt. I'm sure Bethany Black enjoyed working on the episode. She's a fan of the show, and she was probably happy to be in the role. But it's not sending out positive signals when your first and currently only transgender actor plays a mindless brute, even if it's a protagonist. I'm just glad they handled deaf actors better, both in the classic and the revised series, with the guy who played Tyson in Destiny of the Daleks, and of course with an actress who played a character who was also deaf in this series. And we also have an actress who's blind playing a blind character in Series 11. But this is, I don't know whether to say it's insulting or not. It feels like it doesn't work. That the first transgender actor in the show plays a grunt, basically. I haven't heard the Big Finish audience where they have transgender actors or with transgender characters, but I suspect they've handled it better. As for the Doctor and Clara, well, Peter Capaldi continues to be amazing, and the Doctor, he's alright in the set. He gets some great lines now and again. and he works out the situation. Clara is all right, I guess. I'm not really worried. I don't hate Clara as much as everybody else. Jenna Coleman does a good job in the role, and she has some good moments, but I'm not worried. I don't hate Clara, but I'm not I don't love her. I'm okay with her. This is an episode where I don't really care about her, so she's just there to fill the companion role. Some good lines earlier on, but I'm not really worried, so I'm not going to be not too upset or angry about the character's presence in the episode because I'm not really worried about her presence in the episode. In all honesty, I'm not really that worried about the episode at all, apart from some clever angles I've already mentioned. The last character to talk about is our villain, Professor Rasmussen, played by Reese Smith, and he gives the best performance of the episode, after Peter Capaldi, of course. And Rasmussen's kind of a complex character, not in the sense he's got a complex personality, but he starts off like this. Oh, I created this invention, isn't it wonderful? But these creatures are coming to kill me, so please rescue me. Tough character, but before he reveals his true colors, like, these guys spoke to me. I now understand what they want, so I'm going to give them what they want. And then he makes this little video to showing the events as attempting to be an alibi for his survival when everybody else is dead. But once he's rumbled, it turns out it was actually his plan to have people watch this video, even though he warns them not to, but they can't help themselves but watching. Unless they turn off during the episode, of course. But then he's going to send the message out and have everybody watch it so that the same people can grow out elsewhere. How successful he is with it, I'm not sure because we don't really get a follow-up to that. Mark Gatiss, who wrote this episode, was, I think, thinking of making a sequel to this one. Not sure how that would have gone down with the 12th Doctor, 900 years later, to when this episode aired, or 1,000 years later, or if all of those billion years in the confession dial count 4 point whatever billion years later, plus the fact that he'd have new companions. Honestly, I'm glad he actually went with the second Ice Warrior story of the new series instead. I mean, there's always a possibility of returning to this at some point later down the line if Mark Gatiss wants to write a sequel to this in the Chibnall era or a later era, or for Big Finish. In that case, that would only be an audio. That would be audio only, found audio. But yeah, I'm not too worried about this episode. I think it's okay. It's trying. I can understand what it's trying to do, but I'm not too worried about what it's actually doing. There's some good bits I like, some bits that aren't so good. It's not a complete train wreck like a lot of people think it is. At least I don't think so anyway. But I can understand why they think that. It's also quite a slow episode. It's not that interesting in places. But I don't think it's as bad as other people say it is, but I can understand why they would think that way. So I will be giving Sleep No More. I'm going to be giving it a 5 out of 10. There were some interesting bits, but it's not really that interesting in as a whole. It's not that great. It's not terrible, and the found footage, whilst it is a gimmick, it at least plays into the story itself. Though it does look a bit too professional directed, so it makes me not worried. So that's Sleep No More. I'm not too worried about this one. I don't hate it, but I'm not too worried about it. Thank you for watching this review. Next time is Face the Raven, which is a bit more interesting. And not everyone's going to make it out of that episode, even if it's not really an episode where you wouldn't expect someone to die, but there will be a character who doesn't make it to the end credits. I'll see you guys next time for Face the Raven. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. Which is, if it's not Hellbent, it's just I'm not really, no, I'm not just worried. I don't know. I'm just not really worried. I'm just not worried. I think so. It actually looks more like. Um. So yeah. However, something has gone wrong. The modification. Um. That's as great as it really gets. Both they both costumed. They do have but the costumes maybe because most of the time these people I do have to say it's slightly insulting that they I do have to the grunt is played by the author, and what role do they get her to do? A mindless power. I mean, I'm just glad they handled deaf people better in this series. I'm just glad they handled. But I probably, but I expect they've done it a lot better. But I expect they've handled but I expect they've handled both the actor and the characters. I don't find her as annoying as everybody else. This is one of the less likable episodes of the series, so I don't really care. But then but yeah so but yeah, I'm not too um and yeah, there was so, next time is Face the Raven. Ooh, there's going to be a companion. Shit, there's going to be a character who doesn't quite make it to the end credits. There's going to be a character who doesn't